It's one of those days. No football for me. I get to go sell some drugs. Because if I ever say I'm selling cards, it's really drugs. So, what's the good word? Jesus. 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 I really hate it all. I hate religion. Look, we have a like, but we don't have any viewers. Oh, now we do. That's always nice of people. Put the like in before you even start viewing. What are some of the craziest things that we've been doing lately? I mean, if you think about it, like looking up these different things. Learning about all these different things. Learning about the whole religious aspect of circumcision and all that shit. Like I keep finding it so crazy that people still believe what they believe, and how difficult it is to find somebody to talk about it. Somebody was on here with me earlier, and they were saying how crazy it is that person's talking about nothing, and they're allowed to have 160 viewers. Or someone like me who's encouraging you to openly question your Jewish rulers. Question your narrative, your history, the story that we're given. Because excuse me, surprisingly, it doesn't stand up to scrutiny. You know, I just think it's amazing how easy it is to not believe in things. Yeah, I've been doing this series lately to try to disprove the Jewish conspiracy. To prove there isn't one, it's just a myth. You can't. Everything that exists proves that. And I wish people were just, they felt more comfortable talking about these things, because it's important. Anyway, it's like important that people understand that freedom, it includes for a reason, and that speech includes criticizing cults. I don't have to respect your cult. I don't have to respect your religious views. I understand that you have them. You have a point of view, you have a perspective, you have this, that, and the other, but I know me personally, if you question my perspective, I don't tell you not to. I welcome that. I hope people question the things that are brought up. And I just, that's how we get to the better position. That's how we win the fight. What's happening right now? I don't know. what's happening right now is we, the people, need to fight back against the Jewish control scheme that dominates our lives. I don't know really what else to say about such things. Like, it's not just a conspiracy that your grandparents talk about or something like that. This is the real deal. This is the real thing. And the fact that you know, that it's the one thing that you're told you're not allowed to talk about, that should be your key. Can you tell me more about it? I mean, what is it? What aspect? The Jews control every aspect of our lives. They control, you know, what we believe, our religious beliefs, all the religious beliefs, that all comes from the Jews. It's all just a trick. And the thing is, you have to be willing to be wrong. If you're not willing to be wrong, if you're willing to allow your faith to override your common sense, I don't know what we can do. Become a pagan. Well, I mean, you know, most of the holidays that people celebrate are pagan holidays. They just don't realize it. There's a reason why all those pagan holidays were supposedly taken over. But see, my thing is, you know, I don't know how much of any of it I believe. So when you start talking about the pagan holidays and the you know, the Christians took over all the pagan holidays, like, really? How do we know that? How do we just sort of trust the system that tells us that, the lying system that tells us that, and that's basically how everything works. Everything is us trusting a system that we know lies to us. Sometimes just let other people win. It seems hard, but just live your best life. You don't influenced by the wrong people. No, see, that's a selfishness. That's a low-level selfishness that I can't get behind. I believe in true selfishness, where true selfishness is me wanting myself, my wife, my kids to live the safest, happiest, healthiest life they can live. The thing is, the only way that happens is if everybody else lives the safest, happiest, healthiest life they can live. So you can't just focus in on yourself. You have to focus in on the world around you, because it's the world around you that puts you in danger, that you know, that it's like when you're driving. Most of the time, you're not going to get in a car accident because of something you do. It's because of some other dumbass's mistake. So we have to make life better. And really, I don't know how anybody sleeps at night knowing there's a fucking genocide happening, and you know, we're basically responsible for it. That's a blissfulness, an ignorant bliss I just don't have. I wish I could, I guess. Maybe I don't know. I don't even want to be that person. I don't even want to be the person that doesn't know about genocide and doesn't care. Look, I have no Palestinian ties, no Lebanese ties, no Syrian ties, nothing. But the Israeli pieces of shit are killing them. It's a genocide. And I, you know, I'm not even the Free Palestine guy. All right, Free Palestine doesn't even make much sense. I don't know how we free Palestine to what? To a monarchy, a Christian Muslim monarchy. Either way, it's control. No. So it's not Free Palestine. It's end Israel. That's the most important thing. We need to end Israel. We need to end Judaism. We need to call it for what it is, and it's a disgusting psychopathic cult. And the things that they believe, the way that they do things, I mean, it's really, really fucked up. Do you know that the main thing when it comes to Judaism, their main belief is circumcision? The number one most important thing in Judaism is circumcision. Do you know how fucking gross that is? First of all, for all the women out there, like, they're basically saying you're pointless. All you're there to do is to make more boys. But if circumcision is the most important thing in your religion, if cutting baby dicks, and in their culture, it's cutting then sucking on gross, bloody baby dicks. If that's the most important thing to you, like, you've got some fucked up shit going on. We don't get a gosh darn world war. Gosh darn it. Well, I mean, again, world wars, the only 2 world wars that have ever happened were for Israel. So the fact that Israel is involved is scary. And the next piece of it is probably North Korea, South Korea, or something like that. But yeah, no, the World War thing is terrifying, because it means a whole bunch of kids, a whole bunch of 18, 19-year-old kids or 20-year-old kids are going to get killed. A bunch of Goyim are going to be killed for some crazy Jewish bullshit, for Jewish supremacy, and that's I have a real hard time with that. I have a real hard time supporting Jewish supremacy in any real way. I mean, I don't believe them to be supreme. I don't accept the idea of them being God's chosen people and all that bullshit. And I resist it. I say no. I call you a butt. That's so true, bro. I can't imagine shit going down like that, like a nuclear war. Well, I don't believe in nuclear war. I don't think they have nukes. I think that's just fear propaganda. I mean, I'm sure they have weaponry beyond our beyond our ability to think straight. Like, I'm sure kinds of crazy shit, but I don't think they have nukes, and it doesn't make any sense, you know. You're going to use a nuke, and then somebody's going to use a nuke back, and everybody's going to be fucking killed. What sense does that make? But it's also like, if there was nukes, don't you think a guy like Saddam Hussein, knowing they're about to get him, would have launched a few? Well, they don't think about the alliances with different places that do. Well, they don't, but think about the alliances. You know, I think what most people don't realize is it's much more of a one world government than you realize. You know, they have you believing that the solutions are actually the problems. So we think a one world government is the problem when it's already here. It's just who controls it. It's like the 500-year Cold War, so nobody uses them. Right, it's stupid. It's just propaganda. It's to keep us in line. Some group of people starts getting too much out of hand, and the nuclear war threats start coming out. And it's just bullshit. It's fear. And a population that lives in fear is a population that's much easier to control. And when you think about every single belief structure that everyone has, it's all fear-based. Whether you believe in Jesus or you believe in the Big Bang, your foundation is fear-based. Everything is about how, and in Christianity, the best case scenario is everyone dies. Armageddon, where everybody dies. 5 or 6 people get to go to heaven. They get to be raptured because they're the good Christians. And the rest of us, we fight for eternity with Armageddon. Like, that's best case scenario to Christians. And everything is about just affirming that and pushing this idea that we are always, always, always on the brink of annihilation. We are on the brink of annihilation because a rock might fall from the sky and wipe us out like it did the dinosaurs. We are on the brink of annihilation from a pole shift. that could happen at any time. We wouldn't even know it. It would just happen instantly, and it would freeze us just like it did with that mammoth that was found that still had grass in its mouth because it was chewing when it got frozen. A flood, an invisible flood that just sort of happens, the ice caps are melting, and we just, oh no. There's a hole in the ozone layer. Oh no, you guys remember the hole in the ozone layer? How did the hole in the ozone layer get fixed? And then there's always the invisible devil that's always trying to fucking kill everybody. There's the invisible germs. Everybody's scared of invisible germs. The invisible germs are going to get you sick and kill you. Everything is invisible, crazy shit. And you just have to trust the system that lies to you. That you're on the brink of annihilation, but you won't be annihilated. You got to be on the invisible alien invasion that's going to come and annihilate everybody. How many different invisible things do you think you're scared of? I mean, I make it sort of silly, but really think about it. How many invisible things do you actually think exist, and you have fear over it? Fear that the rock is going to fall from the sky and wipe us out like the dinosaurs. Everybody sort of fears that, right? I'm scared of interest rates and usury. You should be. Jewish controlled interest rates. Interest rates are not like a thing that just sort of exists. It's controlled by the Jews. And they just make it whatever they want to, whenever they want to, and then, we die over it. It's so terrifying. The Jews control everything. That's the real. We're focused on all these individual things instead of the one thing that controls them all. Then, we're just being duped. We're just being controlled. Gotta go. See ya. You subbed. Cool. Appreciate it. We are, it's 2024, at least according to the narrative, because again, the whole concept of the date is just stupid. It really is, it's 2024. It's been 2024 years since Jesus, maybe. And then when you know about like the official historical record when it comes to that shit. I'm not saying it's true. I'm saying what you're supposed to know. If you believe it, if you believe in our history and all that, then you have to believe these things. So you have to believe that up until 1946, the earliest, people always talk about the fact that nobody talked about Jesus until 70 years after his death. And they're referring to the Dead Sea Scrolls when they talk about that, right? But the Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered in 1946, supposedly, again by Jews, just before they needed some good stuff to, validate and quantify their demand for Israel. 1946, 1947. The year before they establish Israel, they find these Dead Sea Scrolls. The Bedouins find these Dead Sea Scrolls. And they're carbon dated, back in the 40s with their magic carbon dating machines, They're dated to the 70 years after Christ, supposedly. But prior to the Dead Sea Scrolls, the earliest known writings of Christ were the, what do they call it? The method, something. They're from 900, we'll say, from in the 900s. So, according to the narrative, nobody talked about Jesus until 900 years after his death, and still the story remained pristine, right? Like, it doesn't make any sense, you guys. They're lying to you, especially when you go, okay, so if that's really the case, and you say that the reason that we live in 2024 is because in 525, Dionysus, some random mathematician polymath guy, decided that our history should be Christ-centered, and our date should be Christ-centered. And he somehow, with his abacus and whatever fucking, I don't know, whatever writings he had, he calculated that the year they were in was 525 and not whatever year that he was told they were in, not whatever year was the accepted year. Oh, look, the dumb Jew comes in and says, I need psychiatric help. They cannot debunk anything I have to say, and they're too stupid. They don't even know. Like, this is official history shit. But this is how the Jews operate. When they can't debunk someone, they try to shoot the messenger. And you're seeing it time and time again. But so again, it's almost like we're breaking history here, right? Because if he wanted the Christ-centered date, and he calculated 525, what was he basing that off of? Was he basing that off of the supposed oral tradition of Jesus? And I've always wondered, like, so it's certain, it's whatever date it is in that world. This guy decides it's 525. He takes it to who? Who does he take it to? No, they're not a doctor. They're just dumb Israeli trolls. And they think mental health and shit like that is a joke, is a burn. You know, it just proves who we're up against. It proves the level of you know, infancy, mental infancy and ignorance we're up against. They can't debunk, they get mad at what I say. So they want to hurt me like I'm hurting them, but they can't. They're just dumb. Everything you said has been thoroughly debunked. You're just so mental, there's nothing that can convince you. What do you mean it's been thoroughly debunked? The Dead Sea Scrolls have been thoroughly debunked. Dionysus in 5, that's thoroughly debunked. What are you talking about, dumbass? I'm sorry you don't know history, but that's the official account. You're talking, I'm giving you the official account. So what has been thoroughly debunked? You don't have the kind of power over people to make them mad. Obviously I do. Oh, obviously I do. If you're coming in here and you're trying to get the attention on yourself by saying dumb shit, obviously there's a reason. And you come on every single feed I do, so clearly I mean a lot to you. I don't know how you would see it any other way. I've never been on your feed. I've never sent you a message. But clearly you are all up in my shit. And I appreciate you giving me the layups, right? It's like you're saying these things so I can then say my piece, and it just works out every single time. Everything you say, I couldn't ask you to say it better. You know, I couldn't ask you to be dumber and say dumber shit and put me in the position you put me in. This is what it always is. And the world is not right. Again, let's not address anything being said because you can't. So anyway, the idea that somehow this random guy, this Dionysus character, convinces the powers that be that the world is 525. Like, with what? I'd love to hear his presentation. You know, and these are all people who, you know, we're told that they magically traveled in all these different places, and it's crazy when you think about the narrative that we're given, and why would anyone believe it? It debunks itself. You're saying that the earliest known works that referred to Christ were from 900. So how would they have known? How could he have calculated the history based off of, you know, what? I don't understand. This is always the kind of shit where it's like, you don't need to be a conspiracy theorist. You know, you don't need to. Ooh, that guy's going to jail. You don't need to be like, you don't need to go down crazy wormholes that will just keep you going in circles, and at the end of the day it doesn't even matter, because unless we overthrow the Jews that control the narrative anyway, it's all distraction. It's all just stuff for us to focus on. You want to talk about reptilians? Who gave us the reptilians? The Jew, Dr. Zachariah Sitchin. You know, you want to talk about the pedophile church? Well, who protects them? The Jews that make the laws. You want to talk about the vaccines? Who produces them? The Jews. The chemtrails, who sprays them? Who's in charge of who sprays them and the laws and shit? The Jews. You want to talk about the food quality? Who controls that? The Jews. Why would you talk about the what when the who is the same throughout? Clearly, we need to address the who. It really is that simple. They've done a really good job convincing you that the conspiracy is like this really crazy, you know, sci-fi conspiracy, the aliens and the reptilians and all these different things that are like super sci-fi, and and you know, you have no way of testing or proving even the round earth. Once you sort of accept the idea that the earth is not a ball flying through space, the concept becomes really stupid. You know, you start looking into it. Like, I always just try to debunk myself. Try to debunk that the earth is flat. Look at what they tell you. Look at how they tell you the earth was formed. Look at how they tell you the universe was formed. And it's all just dumb shit that there's no way we would know. You know, we just learned how to fly 100 years ago. Just learned how to fly, and yet somehow within 100 years we know fucking everything. We know all the secrets. It's crazy. And then you see how all the narratives are designed to get us to fight each other. You know, it's all designed for not just negativity, but to create division. You know, it's all about keeping us divided. And that's it's literally that easy. As long as we're focused on all these other conspiracies that they give us, and we're not focused on them, mainly because they tell us we're not allowed to talk about them. Most people know that they're not allowed to talk about the Jews. We know that. We like instinctually know that. We've been told that our whole lives. We've seen what happens when other people talk about them. It's really interesting, but that's what it is. It's you learn through experience, and the experience has told you that they are the good guys. They aren't to be fucked with, and you just do as you're told, and everything will be okay. When you die, you get to go to heaven, as long as you follow the Jew rules and you subscribe to the Jew religion. Christianity is directly from Judaism. Islam is too. It's not as crystal clear, and honestly, I haven't looked. I'm sure I could find it. But the whole narrative is just bullshit. It really is. When you really understand what they claim to be the evidence behind the narrative they give you, and you understand that it's literally nothing. It's bullshit. You want me to believe what the people in 900 finally wrote down after all those other years of people playing telephone? They finally decided to write the shit down in 900, and that's the truth? Okay. Why would anyone accept that? I think you accept it because you don't know that's what the truth is. You love to tell yourself that the Bible is this. I hear dumbass people say it all the time, how the Bible is the most historically accurate book ever written, and they try to attach biblical to historic, and it's they don't know. And you don't know what to say to them because you've never been encouraged to look. None of you have ever been told, hey, why don't you, instead of reading the Bible, read about King James and how the Bible came into existence. No Christian ever screams that at you. Well, have you ever read the Bible? They always assume that you don't believe in it because you don't know it. You haven't read it. You've never even heard of the thing. If you just heard about the concepts that they accept, that the crazy sci-fi concepts they accept, if you just knew what it was, then you'd believe in it. It's sort of what they try to push, and it's no, dude. The reason I don't believe it, one, is because it's stupid. I didn't ever have a time when I did believe it, and then I had some aha moment. It's literally always been the dumbest shit to me. I never understood why anybody would believe it. But, the more I look into it, you'd think it'd be one of those things where you'd look into it and you would get this feeling, this joy. Oh, I'm reading this, and I know that what I'm reading is true, and look at, there's all this information, this chronological information to show me exactly what I need to see, and all this shit. You'd think that would be the case. With the way they keep getting away with violating kids and all their tax-free status and all that other shit, you'd think the Bible would just be evidence everywhere. And instead it's just no wonder you're so stupid. No wonder you don't know anything, because if you did, you wouldn't believe it. And they say with the Quran that every copy that's ever been found has been the exact same. Which, if you're going to go off of you're going to make a presentation, right? You're in court. You have to present your argument one way or another. I believe that it's the Quran. Well, I believe it's the Bible. If that's the case, the one that has been the same the entire time is probably the one you should go with. I would. If I was going to believe a dumb narrative, I'm going to believe the one that hasn't clearly been changed every time a new leadership took over. But that's only if you just trust the narrative. I just have to trust that every copy of the Quran ever found has been the same and is dated back to when they say it was dated. Like, it's stupid. It's stupid. The whole concept of Jewish history, they say Jewish history wasn't written down for most of it, which is probably the whole 900 years thing. Because again, I just, if you're a Christian and you don't understand that your history is Jewish history and your cult comes from the Jewish cult itself, I really don't know what to say. Christianity is a direct descendant of Second Temple Judaism, according to the narrative. So, but then it's like, you have to then sort of think about things like, okay, so we're talking about the people that supposedly didn't know how to build a toilet, rode around on donkeys everywhere, wooden wheels on their cars and all this other shit. But they were also building aqueducts and temples and huge buildings that still stand today, and like, it's all bullshit. It really is. Just, why would you believe that stuff? If you apply any sort of scientific method, if you apply any sort of, like, you try to think about it in any sort of way, it's gonna fall apart. It's fucking stupid. You believe that all-knowing, all-powerful God that makes the universe work decided to get a virgin pregnant, got a virgin pregnant, and then went deadbeat dad and like, do you not get how ridiculous your whole belief structure is? How cartoonish, and then how cartoonishly, comically powerless your God seems to be whenever it comes to like real accountability or taking accountability, taking responsibility for the way the world works. Every time somebody says, well, why does this happen? Well, free will. Yet at the same time, you believe God has a plan. There's a God's plan, and God knows everything. Nothing is surprising to God. It's omniscient. It's all-knowing. God knows all those children are getting violated. Does nothing about it. But hey, like, it's just so frustratingly stupid. And the thing is, you go, well, what about people believing that? And if you go home and instead of you asking questions, the thing is, if they give you the answers, if you accept the answers that you've been given, you're much less likely to ask the question to begin with. They tell you you live on a ball flying through space, you're not going to bother to ask where you live. They've already told you. It's all about control. You're lost, bro. Those children go to paradise instantly. Yeah, the children go to paradise instantly. Seek help. There we go again. Another Jew. Can't actually answer for anything being said, so start saying crazy shit. What children go to paradise instantly? What are you even talking about? Up until like the 90s or something, aborted babies and anybody that died before they were baptized, they went to purgatory. Purgatory was a big thing for a long time. Oh, you're a Muslim, bro. Oh, even worse. Why are you a Muslim? What makes you believe that? See, this is one of those things where you would think if you were proud of your beliefs, then somebody asking you about them, you'd be proud to tell them. you'd be like, oh man, let me help you understand. This is why, because I believe this because of this, and you know. But instead, this guy's going to be a clown for sure. They always are. Always, always, always are. Private property must be abolished. Okay. Islam is the obvious truth. Okay, so that's a pretty lofty claim. Based on what? What is obvious about it? Here we go. Read the Quran. I don't want any, I don't believe in, I don't want to believe in, I don't want to subscribe to anything that I can't then help somebody that's looking. Somebody asks me questions, I can't give them any answers. Well, you got to read the book. You got to read the book. You got to read the book. That's such a, if that thing is so powerful, why doesn't it give you better answers than that? It's the obvious truth. If it's so obvious, then give obvious reasons why it's the truth. What is obvious about the Quran? Yes, read the book of God. You know, the one who created you. Oh yeah, the creative? No. My parents created me. They had sex. And they were created by their parents who had sex. I know you don't like to think about sex being a Muslim. Well, unless it's with virgins and shit, which is so fucking weird. Why would anyone want 72 virgins? That is gross. Islam and Judaism are the same thing. All three of them are the same. They're all Abrahamic religions. They all just change the characters up a little bit, but they're all the same. And talking to any of them, a Jew, a Muslim, a Christian, it's always the same. They always have the same nonsense. The thousands of miracles in it. If there's thousands of miracles, God, you guys are so dumb. You just walk right into it. Give me one. Just one. Just one miracle that is provable, quantifiable. You can say it right. Look, here's the miracle. Look at it. Go looking. It's always the same dumb shit. As I said, you're lost. Yep, back to name calling. I can't debunk what you're saying. I can't, not even debunk. I can't prove what I'm claiming. So now I'm going to start name calling. Just prove what you're saying. God, it seems really simple. The thousands of miracles. Give me one. Come on, let's hear some. You're gonna talk about some stupid miracle that supposedly happened 1,000, 2,000 years ago that nobody can prove? We just have to believe some dumb story? Yeah, that's believable. Yep. Jesus walking on water and shit. Yep. Oh, totally believable. I love the story of like Jesus made the blind see, right? Because in my head growing up, I thought it was like they went to a place and there was a bunch of blind people that lined up and Jesus did one of those Benny Hinn, like you can all see and everybody could see. I thought that's what it was. But instead you find out that Jesus in the desert, old blind Billy's been sitting there, like Jesus is getting persecuted. So Jesus needs to come up with a miracle real quick. So old blind Billy's sitting there. Old blind Billy's been sitting there. He's like 30 something. That's his little spot. He's a nuisance. He's a vagabond. He's terrible because he's blind. Ugh, blind people. Jesus needs to perform a miracle, so he spits in the sand and he creates a mud. Now, I don't know how much spit you think it takes to turn desert sand into mud, but apparently Jesus was hawking some loogies. Turns the desert sand into mud, smears it all in the dude's face and says, okay, now go wash your face off in that river way over there. Not here's some water, wash your face off. No, you got to go all the way over to the fucking river way over there and rinse your face off. And then dude can see. Now the thing is, all the people around him are like, yay, that's amazing. Hey, real quick though, Jesus, let me just ask you this. Why is it old blind Billy was blind? Like, you know, he was the pariah. His parents were embarrassed and lived on the outskirts of town. he was, he had to beg because nobody would give him any because he's stupid and blind. What did old blind Billy do to be blind? Did his parents do something in the previous life or something? What did they do to deserve such a horrible fate as to have a blind child? Anything wrong? My dad, he owns a dealership, right? My dad, he knew that there would be some point where I would need to prove myself to these Jews who are persecuting me. So he made old blind Billy blind, knowing that one day I would need to do this. So old blind Billy and his family and everybody suffered their entire lives so that Jesus could prove something to doubters at some point. Do you know how stupid that is? Okay, here we go. Okay, I'll give you one. The Haran mentions expansion of the universe, but surely you ask for more now. See, when you know you're giving bullshit, you do that. If I was in your shoes, I would give the easiest, the most obvious thing, the most undeniable thing, not the thing that I would have to have a magic telescope to be able to prove. The expansion of the universe. Pretty fucking dumb. I'll give another. The Quran mentions every living being being made from water. Again, what does that have to do? That's dumb. That might mean they had a grasp of science, maybe, when they wrote that. But that could also mean they were just dumb and saying something stupid, like when they say things like, you can't plant two crops next to each other and blah, blah, that kind of shit. So, yeah, maybe they knew something about science, I guess, according to the religion of science. Christing the eyes. Yeah, that makes tons of sense. It's so fucking great. Another random one. The word women and men get mentioned 23 times each in the Quran. The amount of chromosomes we get from our parents. Oh my God. Do you know how stupid you sound right now? That is so dumb. That's called a coincidence. Nobody was like, look, the Quran doesn't say at the end, oh yeah, by the way, we mentioned men and women 23 times because there happens to be 23 chromosomes. Like, that's not a miracle. That's a coincidence, you doofus. Come on. Makia, whatever that is. Don't know what that is. Need thousands of more miracles. So that guy thinks those are miracles. So I guess in my mind, a miracle is that life is like a train heading down the tracks, and there's somebody tied to those tracks, and in any other circumstance that person is going to die had not God stopped the train, or had not God made the ropes just fall off and the person jumped up. That's what I think a miracle is. You want to call miracles coincidences? Like, that's how weak your argument is. Your argument is so weak you can't give something that's quantifiable. You can't give something that's direct and easy and something where somebody can go, yeah, well, that's undeniable. Your whole thing is, well, there's a coincidence with the name men and women are both named 23 times. And that's the number of chromosomes. That is some silly fucking shit. Well, the Quran mentions the expansion of the universe. How is that God interfered with the way the world was working? A miracle. God stepped in and changed the course of things. That's the Quran mentioning that everything's made of water? That's so silly. If I was a Muslim right now, I would be so embarrassed by your arguments. That is so silly. Of course you ignore my examples. I didn't ignore your examples. I denied your examples. See, I think you have a hard time understanding English, right? I think that's what's happening. You're mixing words up. I'm not ignoring your shit. If I was ignoring your shit, I wouldn't have read it. No, I'm reading your shit and then I'm absolutely debunking your shit. Like I wish you would do to me, right? I wish you were this, comprehensive with debunking me instead of all wishy-washy and goofy. But this is how this always works, and I appreciate this so, so much. Of course you ignore my examples and keep ranting. Yep, I'm just ranting about nothing, not directly addressing the things you just said. Nope, that's not what I'm doing. Why you keep laughing? Thousands of coincidences. Yeah, that's what lots of life is. Thousands and thousands of coincidences. Those aren't miracles, you goof. The Quran mentions people like you in the Quran. It's not the eyes that are blind. There you go. The Quran gives. Now, when you're not smart enough to do somebody, you can say the eyes aren't blind. It's the heart. Your heart's blind. You don't just have blind faith like I do. Dude, I'm sorry, you're not coming up with better miracles. A miracle. Word day mentioned 365 times. Word month mentioned 12 times. How is that a miracle? Like, I guess again, what you think of a miracle is completely different than what I think a miracle is. I think a miracle is God's hand directly affecting the way the world works. Like you're just goofy. I think you have a hard time using your brain. Oh, there we go with the insults again. You're mad. I'm mad because you're not just accepting what I believe. You deny God without reading his book. Yeah, hell will probably be your destination. Oh no, not hell. Oh my God. How silly is this? If reading the book means I have the same information you have, I can only make the same weak ass arguments you can make, I don't want to read that book. If that book is what's fueling you, you sound like an idiot. You can't come up with anything other than silly coincidences, or not even coincidences, probably planned things. Things that the people that wrote it planned so that dumb people would go, those are miracles. But it's embarrassing, man. How can you be so dumb? That's embarrassing. Wow. But see, like I say, I always appreciate it because this is the same shit. Like this really is this guy's best effort, right? This guy is really trying his hardest to come up with miracles from the Quran. And yet, this is all he can do. Which should tell you, oh, here we go. Seek mental health, bro. May God help you. Looks like you're having a hard time in life. I can only say so much in a YouTube chat. Yep, you can say all that, but you can't a better miracle than some numbers. Got me. Yeah, it must be me that has the issue here, right? It must be me. Dumb me. I don't just believe in the fairy tale because I'm told to. I ask questions. That means I have mental, because I don't believe in Sky Daddy without any proof, because you're just supposed to believe in it without the proof. Because I ask questions, I have mental issues. You believe there's a God up there that allows Muslims to be killed by the thousands from these fucking disgusting Jews. Hey, how come all of you Muslims aren't helping your fellow brothers and sisters? Pretty stupid. Right? Your story's the shit. This is all you can come up with. But why aren't the Muslims helping the Muslims? Why aren't the Muslims out there fighting these crazy-ass Jews who are committing genocide against mostly Muslims? There's a lot of Christians dying too. I don't say you have mental issues because you don't believe. I say you have mental issues because you are acting like a 2-year-old. So 2-year-olds can see through your dumb religion and you think I have the problem? You know 2-year-olds that call you out on your shit? That's pretty embarrassing. Right? It's pretty embarrassing that a 2-year-old knows better than you do. Man, you might want to rethink what you're saying before you say it. A 2-year-old. Because I don't just believe in Santa Claus like you do. I believe in Sky Daddy with zero proof. So much so you can't even come up with anything other than goofy numbers. Like right now, if we were in the same room, you'd be trying to fight. You're so mad. But I'm the one acting like a 2-year-old. I'm literally asking you to back up your own argument. And because you can't back up your argument, I'm acting like a 2-year-old. You didn't call me out on anything, bro. Yep, you're right. You're right, I didn't. I didn't call out your dumb miracles as not being miracles. Nope, that didn't just happen. So much proof. Blah, 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 for all the proof I have. Yep, there you go. See, if you ask me simple questions, why I believe this way, why I don't believe this way, I'm going to give you realistic answers. I'm going to do my very best to give you answers that I don't think you'll be able to outdo. I look at it like it's a competition. I'm trying to say the thing that's correct. So I want you to feel stupid if you disagree with me. I want you to revert into saying things like, you're acting like a 2-year-old. That to me is the best. Because you get these people in this position where they're so compromised, they can't even think straight. They're just talking all sorts of nonsense because it's all they have. Like, it's really fantastic. It really is a fantastic, albeit embarrassing, sort of fight here. Ask me why I'm proud of my anti-Semitism, and I'll be happy to tell you. Ask me why I don't believe in any of that fucking nonsense, that Islamic or Christian nonsense, and I'll be happy to tell you. But these clowns, it's always the same thing. They always just fall apart. Ironically, you're the embarrassing one. Here, trust me. Yep. I'm the one that doesn't believe in Sky Daddy, so I'm embarrassing. Yep. Have a good one. I don't care about you and your beliefs. He's so mad he can't even type the right letters. He's so mad his fat little fingers are hitting the wrong letters. Oh, now he's calling me Snowflake because at some point somebody called him a snowflake once, and it hurt his feelings so much that he thought he would use it on other people. Good old God-fearing Muslim starts name-calling when he can't answer for what he believes. You know what? I'm just gonna leave. Snowflake, you should leave. This is the big boy table, and you don't belong here. Everything I called you is 100% accurate. What did you call me? Again, this is just stupid. I so greatly appreciate you being here because you provide the example. When I talk about how stupid Muslims are, you know, a lot of people think so, but there's not this example. And when you're here and you're providing such a great example, I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. You know, again, you think you ask someone why they believe in something, and they would have more to say than this. But at the end of the day, it just goes to show you that what they believe in is such utter nonsense. How could they say anything differently? How could he? What's he gonna say? He's talking about some goofy sky daddy that the Jews created to keep his people in line. To keep his people stupid and keep his people in line. To keep his people fighting for their right to be dirt people. You know? These dumb dirt people marrying their cousins and shit like that. They think that's the epitome of progress. That's the life their God wants them to live. Can you imagine how mad God would be? Let's just say you died right now, and suddenly you were standing in front of God, and God was like, all right, my son, I tested you, and I told you, and I put you in front of that guy so you could put him in his place. He asked you to provide miracles. What the fuck are you doing coming up with goofy? Well, the word man is mentioned 23 times, and there are 23 chromosomes in the male. That is a miracle of God. The word day is mentioned 365 times, and there are 365 days. That is a miracle of God. If you're the representation for why I should read the Quran, if it means I can be as smart as you, I absolutely want nothing to do with it. You live your life by this bullshit, and you can't come up with better examples than this. That's how ridiculous your belief structure is. Read the Quran. If you can't do that, then why would you even try to argue? Muslims don't think we know. Don't think we know. Yeah, you don't know shit. You're embarrassing. I guarantee you would never share this feed with your Muslim brothers or sisters because you wouldn't want them to see how badly you looked in this. You would never share this like, look it, I found an infidel and I really showed him. He sure got his ass kicked. He was crying by the end. You'd never do that. You'll do everything you can to hide this because you know you just got smoked. Your best examples of miracles from God are fucking coincidences. You want to talk about sad, man? That is fucking sad. If we were in court, you'd be in jail. If it was down to you sitting there making the argument in a court setting, they'd laugh you out of the place. I wish our Pope wasn't such a Nancy and make a call to arms. I wish your Pope would have stopped all the pedophilia decades and decades and decades ago. Okay, let's see if you know more. What happens when you die? I don't know. I definitely don't believe in heaven and hell like a dumbass child, though. I can tell you that. Look, I gotta go handle some business. I'll be back live. Join. Pedophiles, kill yourself.